What happened? Did you see the debate? It happened over a couple days ago now, and I'm still not believing it. Jeez, head to head, Biden, Trump, Kennedy. It was unreal. I don't know if you guys watched therealdebate.com. I watched it on X, and it was absolutely absurd, and it was so telling, and it was so surprising. Like, what happened to President Biden? Where were you? I thought you were going to be throwing a bunch of jabs. I thought I was going to get some State of the Union President Biden. I thought you were preparing in Camp David for a week because you were going to be so ruthless in the debate, and that just didn't happen at all. It was devastating for the Democrats, and I can't believe it. There is even talk that RFK Jr. is going to be replacing Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee. Like, that could happen. And oh my goodness, and it is all because of the debate that just happened this Thursday. So happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you are having a great, wonderful day, and I hope you are not so devastated with what happened at the debate, which so many people are, but I hope that you are inspired and full of so much hope for the future. Right, because there's a lot of good things that happen. I know a lot of the media is trying to make it sound like this was the worst thing in the world, but I think the best thing in the world is for people to see what is possible. And I think RFK Jr. portrays such a beautiful light to the future of this country, and I just believe that he represents unity in a way that no other candidate does. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the show, everyone. This isn't going to be a long recap where we talk about all the questions and compare and contrast everything. I do think that's helpful, but if everyone saw the debate, I think everyone is pretty set on who they're going to be casting their vote for this November. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I do think it's important to talk about the discussions that are happening because of this debate. So let's get into it. For one, an anchor on News Nation said that Kennedy won the debate. Kennedy won the debate. He wasn't even at the debate and he won the debate. How is that possible? My goodness, is that not the best thing you heard today?
Released this morning, they declared Kennedy as the winner last night for his real debate here in Los Angeles.
Woo!
He answered the same questions posed to Biden and Trump in Atlanta.
In front of a live audience, I might add. I should let her finish.
And the programming was paused as he provided his answers to those same questions.
As he was throwing these jabs left and right, as he was actually answering some of the questions that these other candidates were dodging. There was a moment where the moderator was like, all right, well, this is the question that those two candidates failed to answer. And then Kennedy went ahead and he gave his answer. And then Kennedy didn't answer it either. And he's like, all right, well, all three candidates failed to answer this question. So that was kind of funny, but what they ended up talking about was also deeply important. So that I think that's very normal for debates.
And he drew a lot of energy from a live audience of largely his supporters who laughed and they gasped while watching Biden and
see, that is what's valuable about having these moments in front of a live audience. You know, just the other day I was having a conversation with someone and they were like, well, why is it important that it's in front of a live audience? And I'm like, well, because whenever it's in front of a live audience, you get to actually experience the energy of the room and you get to do those gasps, those wonders, you get the claps, you get the boos, you get the general census of what real Americans are feeling. Whenever there's no one in the room, nothing bounces off anything. Try to tell a joke when you're by yourself. Tell me how that works. But if you're in a room and you say something, you know immediately if it lands or if it falls. And that's why debates in front of live audiences are important, because if you're lying in front of people, they'll be able to tell and they won't have it. And that's why a lot of these fact checks that are coming out between Trump and Biden, that's why a lot of them are saying, you know what, that actually isn't so true. That actually needs a little bit of context. And someone's even doing that with RFK, and I think that's great. But that is why it's important to have live audiences for these debates. And I really hope the next one is in front of a live audience, because the debate is going to be so historic. And oh my goodness, I really hope Kennedy's going to be on that one. Geez, September, come faster.
According to the Kennedy campaign, the combined audience on X and their website topped 9 million viewers.
And Kennedy himself said it already reached over 10 million viewers. That was insane. Whenever I was watching it live, I believe the highest that I saw it be was about 5 million views live on X. That was so absurd. And I just saw the number keep climbing because whenever I got on in the beginning, I believe it was at like 200,000, 300,000, then 500,000, 700,000, then 1 million. And then it just kept climbing. 2M, 3M, 4M, and it was insane. The amount of people that were tuning in live in the moment to see the real debate. It was so magnetic. It was indescribable. Also, I just came across this video where Kennedy was being super relatable when an anchor asked him what he thinks about the debate, and he gives it to him straight. Look at this.
Mr. Kennedy, what did you think of the debate tonight? Were you able to watch?
I actually had a debate that 10 million people watched. We had a virtual debate where I was on the stage with President Biden and President Trump, and it was aired live on X. It was live streamed simultaneously with the debate. So what I thought of it, I thought it was depressing.
There we go. RFK Jr. says that he thought it was depressing. Now, honestly, I don't know if I agree with that, but, you know, I'll let this clip play out, and then I'll tell you why.
We have 341 million people in this country, and it was a debate about, you know, that was filled with vitriol and the anger and the finger pointing, and none of it talked about, nobody talked about the issues that really concern Americans. There's now 70% of the people in our country. We've had a nuclear bomb go off in our middle class in the administrations of these two presidents. 70% of the people in our country are not making enough money to pay for basic human needs. You know, I run into people every day who are, you know, elderly people who are splitting their prescription pills to make them stretch out for the week, mothers who are downgrading the ingredients to get out to the checkout line at the grocery stores. A young couple I ran into in New Hampshire who had a fight because they were arguing if their crying baby is $50 sick or $100 or $500 sick before they bring them to a hospital. Americans are not supposed to be suffering like that, and that has happened in these last
I think one of the most profound characteristics that I adore so deeply about RFK Jr. is his passion for people. I feel it so unlike the other two candidates that he just so deeply cares about people, about these issues, about knowing that people are okay, and about being a part of the solution instead of just pointing fingers at the other guy saying this is your fault. Like, no, he is talking about how to fix things and not just saying, well, this is what you did. Like, no, he talks about how to fix things. He's like, this is the problem, this is why this problem exists, and this is what we can do about it, and why aren't we doing it? And I believe there was no clear representation of this than at the real debate, honestly. But you know, the reason that I did say that I don't necessarily think the debate was depressing is because I believe it showed Americans all of the options, and I think that's good. When people don't know their options, when it comes time in November, they're just going to look at the ballot and they're just going to choose the name that looks familiar and it looks kind of okay. And you know what? Before the debate, it might have been Biden, it might have been Trump, but now if those people watched the real debate, which over 10 million Americans watched, now there's another option. Now it's going to be maybe RFK. If they aligned with him, if they identified with him, if they could see his passion, if they could see his character, if they could see his values, if they could see that he's actually a candidate with a brain, they might actually check that box next to his name. And that's what the debate showed. That's what was powerful about the debate. There's even this clip from CNN absolutely scrambling because of President Biden's performance. Check it out. It's insane, honestly.
He's the only president in a while who didn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world. Troops have, of course, died on his watch. He said he's put in a $15 per shot cap on insulin and Medicare. It's a $35 a month cap. He said it's a $200 cap on overall drug spending in Medicare. It's $2,000 a year.
When was the last time you've seen CNN really ride Joe like this? I've never seen anything like this.
He said the border now has fewer crossings than when Trump was in office. That's generally not true. He said, or at least strongly suggested, unemployment was at at 15%. When he took office, it was actually 6.4.
This is the type of aggression that Trump has been getting over the last 4 years while Biden has been put on this pedestal. And now CNN is throwing him under the bus because the debate showed the American people something that they cannot sweep under the rug.
Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Trump doesn't. He said billionaires pay 8.2% in taxes. It's much higher. He said Trump told Americans to inject bleach amid COVID. We know Trump made foolish comments about scientists studying disinfectant injection, but didn't frame it as advice to people. And Biden said the Border Patrol endorsed him. No, its union supported the border bill he'd supported, never endorsed him himself.
One of the top comments says, suddenly the journalists remember how to journalism. And again, it is because of how powerful the debates were. And look at this. There's even conversations being made about RFK Jr. being the Democratic nominee, which would be absolutely wild and not impossible. And I was just so surprised at RFK Jr.'s response here.
Hey, Bobby, it's Chris Cuomo. Any thought yet to going to the Democrats and saying, look, I am a Democrat, and you guys have been boxing me out. Look at the numbers, look at the infrastructure, look where the people are, or really approaching the president and having a conversation with him. Because he may have a hard talk with himself after tonight, Bobby. Any thought about doing either of those things?
Well, poll after poll from the beginning, from last summer, but including this giant poll that was just taken by Zogby, shows that I'm the only one who can beat President Trump. In a head-to-head with President Trump, I beat him. In a head-to-head with President Biden, I beat him in a landslide at 39 states to 11 states. But President Trump, I beat him. There's no other Democrat who can beat him.
You know what? I'm going to call it right now. If I'm wrong in a couple months, that's fine, but I'm going to call it right now. My idea is that RFK Jr. will be the Democratic nominee. And all these people talking trash about him over the last couple of months, comparing him to Biden, saying Biden's 1,000 times better. After the debates, I promise you're going to see a shift in the media happen, and people are going to be starting to push RFK Jr. up because they know that they would much rather have RFK Jr. than Trump. Because right now, if you were just looking at the CNN debate and you were seeing Biden against Trump, it was a absolutely no-brainer. And I'm not just saying that because people are saying Biden doesn't have a brain, but it was pretty clear between those two, there's a right and a wrong. Or at least that's the general census right now.
Democratic Party, the nomination, Chris, is going to fall into the hands of the superdelegates. The superdelegates are largely chosen by the donors to the party. And those donors are these giant corporations like BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, the Pfizer, the military industrial complex, the pharmaceutical companies. And I think they probably would rather see Trump in office than me because, I think I'm a threat to their control of our government.
I hear you, but Bobby, if you ask, and you have to know that they're in scramble mode. They're going to pray for something else to happen in the world. Stay friendly to the administration in terms of what people cover the next 2-3 days. Because if all of a sudden something suddenly happens in Ukraine or the Middle East and we stop talking about our election, you know why. But strategically, learning firsthand with your organization how hard it is to break into the system from the outside. The Democrats are looking for somebody. I don't know why it wouldn't be worth the energy for you to make yourself an option.
Who do you have that phone conversation with, Chris? Do you know who that guy is?
I could give you a couple people that I think I would have a conversation with. That call you. I'm just saying, Bob, look, for known quantity, everybody knows that you have your own mind, but people know your family. They know what your background is. Nobody's got better Democratic bona fides than you do. And they just pushed you out because of how toxic the party system has become. But now the guy they pushed you out for is in free fall. So, I'm just throwing it out there because it would really...
At this point, the Democratic Party has so few options. The only options that I've been hearing, and my ear is kind of on the floor over here, but the only consistent options that I'm hearing are Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, and also now RFK Jr. And if you ask me, RFK Jr. stampedes over all those three other options.
It really solve their problems and yours at the same time.
Yeah, I cannot predict what they're going to do. I'm going to...
Would you be open to talking to them? If they reached out to you, Bobby, would you be talking to them?
Of course, Of course I would talk to them. It would put me on the ballot with nobody trying to get me off.
Yeah. And there you go. If the DNC reaches out to RFK Jr., that conversation will look very favorable. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation has already happened behind closed doors. Just because it is already the end of June. Time is moving fast. There's only a handful of months left until the election. Oh my gosh. Another clip that I saved was from President Biden. As soon as he got off the debate stage, he went over and Joe Biden said this.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the...
I love how Joe is such a teacher. Like, you did such a good job. You answered every single question. Like, as soon as I heard that, like, I watched this with my friends, and we were like, did you answer them right? Like, when you're in school, you don't get points for just answering the questions. Like, did you answer them right? What are we doing here? Even CNN has come out saying that Joe Biden did actually a lot of lying on the debate night. So, give me a break, Dr. Joe. And all the RFK supporters are going to love this. I saw this tweet with a screenshot from Grok saying, after reviewing the USA presidential debate with Trump and Biden and Kennedy on The Real Debate, who would you hire for a leadership position? And Grok responded and said, based on my analysis of the debate, I would recommend hiring Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for a leadership position. His responses demonstrated a deep understanding of the issues, a commitment to the principles of democracy and human rights, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. His proposals for economic reform, healthcare, and foreign policy were well articulated and grounded in evidence-based reasoning. Furthermore, his focus on promoting unity and healing divisions within the country aligns with the qualities needed in a strong leader. What do you think? You agree with that? Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.